Happy day after Christmas. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday. Today I'm back to black clay. So addicted. It just is beautiful. And I've had a request to make a 10-pound bowl. So let's do this. Hi, Danielle. How was your holiday? Hopefully it was relaxing. I've had an addition to my pottery studio. Got a table. Yay. Pretty excited about that. Hi, Tom. You cooked all day. I am making a 10-pound bowl. Danielle, who's also watching, was the recipient. Well, you'll get it after it comes out of the kiln, but I made her a 10-pound bowl out of a clay called dragon fruit, and it is just stunning. If y'all stick with me to the end, I'll take these gloves off and show you her bowl. Oh, it's just beautiful. And Danielle's chosen to keep it raw, not glaze it, and I think that is just such a wise choice. The dragon fruit clay is just beautiful. And I'm gonna have to say it's my second favorite because the black is So I made a black bowl for Andrea the other day, and it's about I think it was about 7 pounds of clay. So this one's gonna be a little bit bigger, thicker, and I'm gonna be shipping this one. So I really wanna make sure that it is sturdy. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get this to center it, and I don't know if I really wanna spend too much time on it because it is such a big piece. When I center, I can do what's called a rim center, and I'll show you that. So right now I'm just gonna get the goo off of this. And I'm gonna stick another thing of clay on top of it. Brianna. So what I've done is I've pseudo-centered this piece that's right here, and I've made a sort of a bowl shape in the middle of this one, and I'm gonna put the two of them together. Ta-da! I'm doing this in sections. I measured out 3 sections of 10 pounds. And I'm doing it in sections because coning this and centering 10 pounds is a lot. It's not the easiest thing to do. So now that I've placed this top bowl over the top of the second layer, I'm just trying to get them to mesh together. And it's pretty nice. it just sort of sits on top of that bottom piece. I'm not going to worry too much about getting it super centered right now because I'm going to rim center it. So I've merged those two. I'm going to take the slip off again. The slip's like glue. It's really slimy. It's the mixture of the water and the clay. And it makes two pieces not want to stick together very well. So here I have another piece that I didn't hollow out. So I'll show you. I'm just taking my fist and making like a cup out of it. And I'm just going to stick them together. Hi, Chris. Marie said, I'm not really sure what messy clawing today. What's it mean? Chris loved the suit. So funny. You're adorable. It suits you. The suit suits you. I also got new sponges from Santa. Ooh. Marisa, I got a table. You can see it in the background. All right, so now we've got 10 pounds of clay pretty much put together. You can see it's got like a blob of jello look to it. So I'm going to attempt to give it just a little bit of a cone, get it to center. And the reason you do this is for a couple of reasons. It helps the pieces merge, and it's much easier to center something when it's tall and thin than wide and fat. So I'm just pushing it together. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing with, it's hard to see when you're in a camera, but I'm pushing with this piece in my hand. I'm pushing them together with the hope that the clay will go straight up. Hi, Christina. This is 10 pounds of clay, black clay. I know you're a big Great White fan, Christina, but I am loving this black clay. And I've figured out that gloves are the way to manage the Oompa Loompa stain that comes from it. I'm speeding up the wheel just a little bit and putting my body weight behind it and giving it a push down. It sort of does like this mushroom thing. I'm really only pushing with this part of my hand right here. All right, so you can see that it's definitely not centered, and I'm going to cheat and give it a shove like this. The grunting helps. And then I'm literally holding my hands like a board. So I'm using my left arm like a fulcrum. And the clay I'm not really pushing, I'm just letting my hands hang out here. Oh, that's really sweet of you, Christina. You know, honestly, had it not been for COVID, I wouldn't be doing this. So trying to remember the blessings that this pandemic has brought us. I challenge y'all to take a moment and think of the things that have changed in your lives, maybe for good. So what I did right there is all this in the pan is slip. Instead of going back into the water, I'm going to try to use that. Slip is slippery, so it's a good lubricant. All right, I think I've got it centered pretty much. And now to get the throwing finger ready. Hopefully y'all aren't offended by my extra special use of a throwing finger. I'm gonna hold it in the center till it quits wobbling and I find center-ish. So this part's sort of important because if you don't find center, your clay is gonna be off. There's multiple methods to do that, to find center. Holding your finger. Also, you can hold your hand just on the top. And I'm literally just holding it there until it quits wobbling. You know what? We're just gonna go for it. So I'm stuck 2 fingers in, and the I love you sign's going on right now. And I'm going to leave a substantial bottom on this. I did about 1 inch on that last bowl that I did, and after I cleaned it up a little bit and before I trimmed I call it an invisible foot. I don't really care for the foot lines. So after I put the invisible foot on, there was a 1/4 inch of clay there, which is perfect because the whole thing is about a 1/4 inch. If y'all stick around to the end, I will take my gloves off and show you the bowl that I made the other day and how it's turned out. It's just gorgeous. All right, so I've got a hole in the center. Now what I'm going to do is there's multiple ways to open it up. Some people put their thumbs in and pull out. I feel like I don't really have a bunch of stability when I put my thumbs in and pull out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my fingers back in it, the I love you sign or rock roll, whatever. And I'm going to pull it back to me. I'm pulling it back to me because as I pull back, I can still keep my arm pretty steady. Again, this is 10 pounds of black clay. Going with the 2-hand approach here, because it's just a lot. And as I open this up, I'm going to slow down the wheel some, because like if you had a paper bag or something stuck to a wheel of a tire, it's just going to go flying off from the momentum. The clay does the same thing. As you go up, it wants to open up, and I don't want it to open up right now. I found that bowls like to start their lives as tumblers or cups or vases, tall, thin things, and then you open it up. So you can see I've sort of got a tire going on here, and I'm gonna brace my left arm up against my side and take my right hand and push against it, and I am just really just holding on. So what I'm doing with this is I'm rim centering. So as I rim center, the clay is going to distribute itself and hopefully the plan is to get it as centered as possible. I'm gonna go back into the pan and get some more slip, which is the wet clay. Get this all lubed up. If your hands are dragging against the clay, it messes up the shape. So right now I'm just trying to be as still as possible. And I can feel I've got a bump going on somewhere right here. For this, I'm gonna do something strange because this bump, I'm gonna turn the wheel opposite direction and try to get it to push out the other way. The benefit of doing this also is you're getting the clay to merge together a little bit better. So in the United States, we throw the wheels spinning counterclockwise, and I've turned it the opposite direction. This is also a lefty direction, so that I can use my right hand and hopefully get that clay to get the bump out. That's pretty good. So now it looks like I've got a big tire. Let me clean off the bat so you can see better. I'm still going the opposite direction. So you can see a hint of the blue bat underneath. There you go. Now you can see where the clay is. All right, so I've got it pretty centered. It's a process, that's for sure. And I also want this top to get the wobble out. Looks pretty good. So I'm gonna change the directions back. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push my fingers from the outside of what will be the bottom of the bowl to the inside. What I'm doing is compressing the clay, and as I do that, you're gonna get a little nub that comes up from the center. The first time that I really realized that there was gonna be a nub that came up from the center was when I saw somebody throw something this big. I was just pushing my fingers back and forth against it, not really realizing what I was doing. So let me show you what that looks like. So as I press, the loose clay comes up. This would be a really good handle, now that I think about it. The loose clay comes up the center and pushes up. There's another piece. And as I do this more and more, the bits of clay that come off is smaller because it's getting more compressed and there's nothing loose to come up. At least that's in my head what I think's going on. And when I was instructed to do this, my instructor said, push your hands against it until it all feels the same consistency, but I didn't really understand what that meant. So by the same consistency, when you push your hands against it, like it really, the clay doesn't move much anymore. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to take the sponge Dry it out a little bit and try to even the bottom some. I still got a little bit of a wobble here. And it's coming from the rim, which will cause me problems as I start going up. So I'm gonna center it again. It just wants to pop out right there, don't it? There we go. So I'm inadvertently doing a pull right now. Taking my very muddy left hand, and I'm going to drag my thumb against the bat and take this other the sponge hand, and use it for balance. And I'm going to squeeze and lift up. So now I'm holding the sponge against the rim, and I'm compressing the rim, giving it a little stability. See, I got a lot of slip in there. I know y'all are super curious as to where I got my attire. This is a Wish purchase. I was in need of something to stop the black clay from ruining my clothes. As you can tell from my stomach, because it gets all over everything. Even if I try to be neat about it, it's just a mess. So my Wish purchase came in handy, and I had inadvertently purchased 2 of these black ones, and now I have an extra set for when somebody comes to visit and play with me. I'm gonna compress the bottom one more time. There's nothing like taking the time to throw something this big and neglecting the bottom. So what happens if you don't compress the bottom? It's gonna get an S crack in it. And 10 pounds of clay going to waste because I didn't take the time to compress the bottom would be sad. Okay, are we ready? This is where the fun part comes in. I am going to start pulling it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take the sponge. I'm using the sponge because these gloves really don't stay lubricated as well as I'd like. So I'm getting the sponge wet, and I'm going to push the sponge, dragging it against the bottom, and I'm pushing against my inside hand to get the clay to come up. And it's sort of like pushing your fingers together and there's nowhere else for the clay to go but up. It's sort of how it feels to me. And you want to do this in a consistent motion. If you go too fast or too slow, you're going to get a wonk in it. I don't know a better way to describe it. It's just a wiggle. One way Joe from Ogre's Home gave me this suggestion, and it works really well. A way to pace yourself is just to count as you're doing this pull. Compressing the top. And I'm also pushing in a little bit because as I go, it wants to open up, and I don't want it to open up just yet. So let me show you what that looks like in counting. I will count for you. I'm still pushing against the bottom, and I'm coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then I'm letting off loosely at the top. You don't want to just pull your hands away super quick. The friction of doing that, which is weird to say, will cause a divot or a deformity in the clay. I'm also leaving a little more clay at the top. I'm not pushing together at the top. So yeah, I've got about this much clay. That's about the width of the bowl right now. And at the top, it's just a little bit wider. The reason for that is when I go to open it up, you want more clay at the top. So when it opens, it doesn't thin out. All right, let's do that pull again. I'm gonna count again just so y'all can get it for a second time. I'm literally dragging the sponge against the bottom because there's a whole bunch of clay there at the bottom, and I want to get it to move up. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and magical number 13. That's working pretty well. So as it goes around, you can sort of feel, there's just, I don't know, I feel like I can feel every time it goes around, every revolution. I'm also taking my hand, if this were the clay, and I'm letting the clay drag against my hand and compress the top. So you might not be seeing me compress the top as much now. I made my first shipment of a purchase to Kansas, McPherson, Kansas, the other day. Oh my goodness. I'm going to never try to ship anything over Christmas. I think they've raised their rates because of just GP and COVID. It was a pretty big box, something I didn't even consider when I started selling these things is how to package pottery goods so it doesn't get ruined in shipment. So I had to double box it. So I wrapped everything up pretty good in a box, and then I wrapped that box again in cushioning and put it in another box. It hasn't arrived just yet. I'm super interested to find out what the state of it is. I can feel my hands dragging against the inside, so I'm going to take another sponge. I'm going to do a double sponge here so I get that lubrication from both the sponges. So really, I'm not going, my goal of this is just to get an even, consistent bowl. I feel like the bottom is really a good depth. The sides are still pretty thick, so I'm gonna pull that up again. Have a good one, Christina. Have a good one. Give Gilbert your little Franny a hug for me. I'm really trying to get that clay that's at the bottom to move up. This should be a pretty good pull here. You can probably see the clay moving. Let's get the tape measure out. Tape measure, ruler. Hi, Lindsay. Where are we at? 6 inches? Goodness, when you're doing it, it seems like a lot more than 6 inches. This is black clay, 10 pounds of it. I have gone back to the black clay. It just turns out beautiful. One of the bowls that I shipped to Kansas was a black clay bowl, and it was raw. And I burnished it, aka polished it. It just, oh, so pretty. It had a really nice, just polished shine to it. This bowl here is going to that same recipient. Again, if you hang out for a little while longer, when I get done with this one, I'll take my gloves off and show you the bowl that I threw the other day that started this wish list of really big bowls. Hi, Alexa. I'm making a big black bowl today. This is bowl number 3. It all started with the dragon fruit, the white dragon fruit clay. I had 10 pounds of it a few days ago, and I was like, this just needs to go bye-bye. So as I was doing that, I had requests for 2 more, so that's what I'm making here. All I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get the clay that's all the way at the bottom of the bat, and I'm moving it up. Not really moving it up, but just evening it out. So you should see it's coming up pretty good right now. I'm gonna compress the rim. Got a little bit of a wobble there. All right. I did get a tool the other day. I know you guys, I told you that I wasn't going to, but I did. So let's give it a shot. I managed to practically steal this. So it is it's made for big bowls. I'm gonna get it wet. Oh, we're gonna open it up. So I'm literally just dragging it against the edge and pushing out. That looks pretty good. I'm liking it. I can also use this to help thin out the edge some. Give it a good shape. So as I'm pushing from the inside out with the rib, I'm dragging my sponge against the outside also. What do you think? It's gonna be amazing. I'm so excited. Wow, look at it. That's pretty good. I feel like I could probably go out a little bit bigger. I don't want to risk it too much because as you push out, as the clay is not dry enough, it will flop right here in the middle, and you can sort of see it starting to do that right now. I need to go get my husband's heat gun, aka man blow dryer, so that I can get the extra pulls on this. So if I were to dry it out there in that spot, I could probably go higher. But honestly, this is just stunning. I am not upset. Okay, so I'm gonna dry the slip off, and I will show you guys if I ever go to it. So I'm just holding this metal grid up along the outside of it, and it pulls that water and the glue off. It also gives it a nice shine, and it helps it dry a little more evenly. The only other thing I want to do is give it a really good run down this one. Implode on itself. It turned out really good. Let me go grab that other bowl so you guys can see how just beautiful it turned out. I trimmed it and did a little burnishing on it with this polishing. You can see really good polish. And really, he just wants it to stay in the dog. It's 6 pounds right now, and it turned out amazing. So I did a little invisible foot. The invisible foot means that it's a little higher here and then lower there, so it levels evenly and the scratch surface is done now. It's just beautiful. I'm so excited to see what it looks like when it comes out of the kiln. The black spots in the dragon fruit really pop their flowers. Thank you all for watching another episode of Heavy TV.